going on? Today we're talking about the Polyend SYNTH. Polyend sent this over to me and I just love it. I think that it's great. I'm going to do a quick overview and just sort of talk about the main features. I'm not going to go too in depth because there's a ton of videos about that on here. However, I am using this synth a bit differently than I think other folks are. So I'm going to show you how I've integrated it into my workflow. Okay, so here's what we got. This is a multi-engine polyphonic synthesizer. And what that means is you have access to 3 different of the 9 synth engines at once over these 60 pads. So it's sort of tri-timbral. It's a tri-timbral synth. You've got 14 different grid layouts that are available to you, and I'll just thumb through these here. Here's 3 different synths available here, and you've got 8 voices in total that you can share across these, and you can customize them. So you could have 1 here, and 6 there, or you could have 3 here, and 2 here, so on and so forth. You have a couple different ways that you can set up each synth. You can have them be notes, you can have them in a chord scale so that it will follow the scale that's there. You've got just individual straight up chords that you can pop in there. And then lastly, you have chord packs. When you set one of these synths in the chord mode, the other 2 synths will have 2 options. They can either be in note mode or follower mode. So depending on which chord that you're in, these will always be in key. This is a really fun way to explore and just make sure that you're not hitting any wrong notes. Let me give you a quick overview of the different synth engines that are available. So we have ACD, which is sort of like more of a Roland TB303, SH101 type thing. We've got FAT, which is sort of more of like a Moog kind of sound here. Waves, which is a wavetable synth. VAP, which is more of a Prophet, Oberheim type synth. FM synth here, WTFM. This is probably one of my favorites on here. We've got a physical modeling engine, so it sounds more like real world percussion and sounds like that. A phase synthesizer, which is sort of like a Casio phase distortion synthesizer. I love this one too, it sounds really good. We've got a grain synth, and then we have a dual wavetable synth that allows you to load in samples and things like that. In the menu here, this is sort of your menu diving area here whenever you select this encoder. We've got 2 menus that I think that you will be in and out of most frequently, which is the synths, color coordinated, right? And so you can do certain things, like if you have it connected to a DAW, you can turn off the local mode so that you're not getting doubling of notes. You can specify what the voice count is for each one of these. And then also how MIDI is coming in and out from here and grid. And this will allow you to select your layout, the scale that you're in, your root note, and some other settings that are specific for each one of the grids. This is one of my first Polyend devices. I have the Medusa, but it's sort of like Polyend and Dreadbox, but this is my first sole Polyend device. And when I first got it, I didn't use the manual for the first 2 days or so, and I just allowed myself to just discover and explore, and it's really smart and intuitive, and you just can figure it out. I think it's really good. It's good design. It's good. I like it. That's how you get to your different synth engines here. And then you've got your options over here. So here's your different page or your different tab for them, right? Boom, 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 boom. And depending on which engine you're using, there may be more pages than that, right? Here's your filter. Here is your envelope section. And again, depending on which engine you're using, you might have 3 or 4 tabs. For this particular synth, right, we just have the amp envelope and then the filter envelope. If you go here, sequencer, we also have an ARP for each one of these. And then we also have a sequencer. LFO section here. And then lastly, we have a mod section. And to get into that, you just hold shift and then hit mod, and then boom, you're in there, right? And then lastly, the other thing to get into, if you hold down shift and go to effects, it'll allow you to thumb through these different ones here. In the mixer, you can then specify how much a blue synth goes into mod, delay, or reverb. Same yellow, same for purple here. Okay, that's my quick overview of the synth. Like I said, there's a ton of videos on there that do really good deep dives on this, so I'm not gonna do that, but I do wanna talk about how I am using this synth. So when I first got it, I was sort of struggling to figure out, like, how do I get this into my workflow? How do I fit it into the types of things that I like to do? For the first couple of days, I was using the synth, I think in the way that other folks have been using it. So I have 3 synths here. I have this set up as a chord, this is in follow mode, and this is in follow mode. right? Something like that. I have blue synth set up on USB channel 1, yellow on USB 2, and then purple synth set up on USB MIDI channel 3. If we go over to Ableton, I have these matching the colors, and this is receiving MIDI from channel 1, channel 2, and channel 3. And then on each of these, I have an external MIDI instrument here. So channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. If I open up the MIDI clip, it has put in all of the MIDI data. So it's not changing the state of the Polyend synth so that I can maybe jam on these separately. It's going to be sort of all at once, if that makes sense. So I think that that's more of a typical way that you could approach using this synth, but that's not how I really connected with it. And I want to show you how I am using this. I'm going to hit scene. I'm going to go in it. No, I don't need to save the current scene. We're going to go into the grid, change the layout to 2+1. The scale, I'm going to change this to chromatic. And then I'm going to select more, and I'm going to change this wrap mode to row +5, and the same for this here. This is the largest grid configuration that you can get with this row +5. This is the layout that I like to play whenever I am using a grid controller. I sort of know my way around it a little bit. The blue synth and the yellow synth are all on this here. The third purple synth is by itself. I turned off the voices for the yellow synth, so I'm just working with 2 synths for now. But this allows me to sort of zone my focus in a little bit. I'm just working with 2 different synths. Having my options limited a little bit will help me get to where I want to go. This is sort of like my init patch. I'll start building, so I'm probably gonna start here. I quite enjoy the FM synth. To the mixer, and then we'll also add this in there. I can let this one sort of run and do its thing, and I can start developing my second patch while this is playing. Let's do phase. Right, so this is my favorite way of using this synth. I can film playing my MIDI data in there, I can clean it up, and then I can start to build a track around that, and this started to make sense in my workflow. Let me show you one more interesting way that I am using this synth. Take a look here, I have just one synth, or it appears that I just have one synth. I am in the 3-in-1 layout. I have access to each of the 3 different synths through this one single grid. So if you've ever played any multi-timbral synths like the Chord Prologue, or the Prophet Rev 2, or the Nord Lead A1, you're able to sort of stack a couple of different synth patches on top of each other. This is the same thing. Right now I've got a wavetable synth on one, I've got a VAP Synth Engine on the second, and VAP on the third, number 3. Second synth. Lastly, FM synth here. Back to the mixer, and I'll turn all of these up. So that's what I love the most about this device, is that it feels like it has 2 modes for me. One where I'm just sitting on the couch designing sounds and making patches that go together. And then the second mode where I have the synth connected to my DAW and I'm writing tracks, and I can just sort of thumb through the different scenes that I've created as the foundation for potential tracks, if that makes sense. My only complaint really is, unfortunately, in this 3-in-1 layout, it doesn't give me an option to wrap this. I would really welcome that if I just had access to that wrap mode so that I could get access to the shapes that I have already learned. But this really isn't a big deal, because then I can just connect my push to Ableton, and then I can control the big massive 3-in-1 patches that I make on here through the push. No big deal. I'm going to make some more videos specifically on the FM engine because that has been the one that's most inspiring to me. Honestly, if this was just a FM machine and it just had the FM engine, I still think that it would be worth the money. I think it's really cool. I'd like to take a moment to thank my patron members, Slavin Radic and Slowheart. And if you'd like to support me, consider popping over to Patreon. We have a Discord server over there, and we just talk about gear, and that's pretty much it right now. I also upload samples from the jams that I do in some of these videos, so you'll have access to that. If Patreon's not your thing, no big deal. Maybe consider checking out some of my music on Bandcamp and supporting me there. And yeah, that's it. I hope you have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.